Welcome to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation. My name is Donna Banks, and I am your host this evening. Our special guests tonight are authors, entrepreneurs, public speakers, and award-winning women, K.R. Bankston and Elizabeth LaShaun. Am I saying that correctly?
You
Yes.
are.
Yes. Welcome, ladies, to Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you for
evening,
having
everybody.
us.
This evening, we will be talking about their careers in the literary industry and their latest collaborative book series, Deadly Taboo, Book One, called Lies. Zoom In on a Fresh Conversation is sponsored by Eileen's Diamonds LLC, the Fresh Book Festival, which will be held in the beautiful city of Daytona Beach, 23, 24, 25 February 2023. Please mark your calendars. Also, join me at National Night Out Back to School Bash on Tuesday, August the 2nd, 2022 in Daytona Beach, where we will be giving out school supplies to the children in the area. So please join me. If you have any questions for KR or Elizabeth, please leave them in the chat room. We will have time at the end of the show to ask those questions. Good evening, ladies. I feel like I know you. I've never met you, but we've been in touch for many years online, and thank you for being here. I want you to just take a moment. Thank you. Let's take a moment and give us some brief background. KR, I'll ask you to go first, and then Elizabeth, I'll ask you to go second.
A little background is I've always written. I've been writing since as long as I can remember. Basically, it was a form of therapy when I first got started before I could actually get a therapist. Tumultuous upbringing in childhood, that kind of thing. Writing has always been an escape. So I entered into the real world of publishing commercially in 2008 on the dare of my husband. So that's how I got started writing on a Sunday, aggravating him to no end. And he said, take all that imagination and go write a book. You cannot tell an Aries that, because challenge accepted.
Exactly. Yes. The gauntlet has been thrown.
Yeah. So that's how I got started.
Yeah, good. Elizabeth?
So I started a lot later. I've always been an avid reader my whole life, but I didn't start writing until about 2008, 2009. I actually had an online book club, and I had a story idea. I did not want to write it because I was a president. I was like, you're a reader, you're not a writer. And it would not leave me. And so I wound up writing a little bit and posted, because the book club was online, I posted there to see what the response would be. And that started. And I kept writing ever since. The stories kept coming.
And what year was that?
About 2008, 2009. And I published my first book in 2010.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we all started about the same time. I was 2008. And went to my first book festival, which was the National Black Book Festival is that in Dallas? Houston.
It's
Texas. Yeah. And that was a lot for a first time author, but it's like putting yourself right into the fire, but I really enjoyed that time. So ladies, please explain how and when each of you became interested in being authors, and expand on how you decided to do other things in the literary world. Elizabeth, I'll start with you.
I decided to actually become an author once I realized it was a true passion, that it was something that I couldn't deny. My family and especially my book club support really bolstered me to continue it. And once I got that first story out and I realized it wasn't a fluke, another one came behind it, I knew I wanted to be an author. And expanding besides our literary endeavors, that came because of honestly the pitfalls that I faced, some of the challenges. When you first start out, I mean, there honestly isn't a manual to be an author. It's kind of like trial and error and research on your own. So I wanted to provide services that I wish I had, information I wish I had, because even if you Google information, you get tons of conflicting information. So I want to be a support for a few fellow authors.
And how many books have you written so far?
I have 6 books that I've published solely, and I have 3 collaborations.
Nice. What about you, KR?
Pretty much the same as EL. I mean, like I said, I love writing. I told you how I got into the commercial side. The challenge from the hubs never challenged me. but wanting to help other authors, because when I first started, I fell into the trap of vanity publishing. And I did not want to ever, did not want to ever see another fellow author fall into that. So my heart for helping people and wanting to see things done differently connected me to author Elizabeth LaShaun, which that's a whole other story, but we both have that same heart. And we sat down and said, hey, let's create something where we can be a help to our fellow self-published authors, people that are thinking of writing a book, aspiring writers, that we can help them navigate and not fall into those same pitfalls and money grabs that we fell into.
Okay, so I didn't do my research correctly. You're both involved in the publishing industry?
We're
Yes.
both, I've published a couple other authors, but mainly I use my publishing house for my works and we have a publishing company for our works together.
Okay, and that's called?
Hard
Hard
Candy.
Candy Publishing.
Say that again.
Go ahead, Kara.
Hard Candy Publishing.
Hard Candy Publishing. So I do believe I did go on the website, and you all have workshops or classes that people can take. Is that correct? Okay, let's speak to the workshops, Elizabeth. I know wasn't a question, but I'm going to ask anyway.
So we have a couple of different.
Yeah.
We have a couple of different workshops. We have something called Let's Get It Started, and that's simply for somebody who wants to write but doesn't understand the element of a book, because there are certain elements you do have to be an author. If you're writing fiction, novels, you have to understand the genre, you have to understand character development. So it's a very basic class that you can take, and you also get your certificate, you get handouts. We have another more advanced class, which is called The End. So that's, you wrote the book, you feel, okay, this is good, I got it. What do you do now? And that gives you information as far as LLC, businesses, marketing. What do you do after the product is finished? How do you get it dispersed, branded, formatted, guiding you from finished manuscript to actual production.
And so, Kay, are most of the people who take your workshops become clients?
They do. We've had quite a few that went from taking the class to becoming clients. Some of them are already established authors and they just need guidance, and that's fine. That's what we're there for. So we have people basically from every aspect of the writing, from just being interested in having an idea maybe that germinated to being fully published and have already published a self-published book, but it didn't go anywhere. It didn't sell any copies. So now they want to come back, or they've gotten reviews that said, who edited this? What's going on with this? Why this kind of thing? So they come back and we work with them one-on-one, and we get them through the process of getting a very smooth and polished product out into the marketplace.
And that includes script to cover and out the door?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay. And tell me when I go to the website. So there are different packages that I can pick, or how does that work?
Yes,
They are.
there are different packages.
Okay.
El, you can elaborate on that.
Okay.
So you can decide to take a class, which is something that both of those classes I described are self-paced. So it's at your own time. You have access to us to ask questions. We do check-ins with you to say, any questions or how's it going for you. Or you can also say, look, I don't like classes. I like a little hand-holding. Some people need that one-on-one attention. And we have what we call an author lighthouse. So my goal in their role is to guide you through wherever you are. There are some people that are just afraid to actually write. Like, how do I start? I need encouragement. I need, I just need very basic hand-holding. I give them assignments to say, okay, you're going to start. Where are your weaknesses? Where are your strengths? This is what we're going to do to get you where you need to be at. So it really depends on what level you are. Or maybe you're going to say, hey, I know everything. I just want you to format this book. I don't know how to format the ebook, or I don't want to take that time. I prefer to pay you.
So I wish I'd have had that when I was, first starting out, because it's a tumultuous road that you go down, and the funding that you spend is amazing. right? So thank you, ladies, for doing that for people who, and not necessarily for people who, you know, a lot of those classes, I have a friend who writes for business, right?
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily have to be for a novel, but
Right.
just the putting things together and
Mhm.
bullet points and making sure that
Mhm.
people understand what you're trying to talk about.
Exactly.
I mean, those workshops help with them too. So I don't want everybody to think it's just for authors. It's
No,
also for
it's for
people in
anybody that
business
writes.
writing, right?
Yeah.
And who may need just a little, I mean, first, you know, you're at one job and then they elevate you and they say, oh, you got to write a manual. What?
Right.
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 You know, oh, we've all
Exactly.
been that. What, you want me to write a manual
Exactly.
now? You know, you give me $5,000 and now I got to write a manual.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we've all been in those positions where we could use some help in putting things together. So Elizabeth, this is your question.
Okay.
You write about love pretty much, right?
I write drama. That's what I say. I write about Black drama, which encompasses love. I think
Right.
Drama gets a bad connotation, like it's
I
bad.
don't, not for me, it won't, but go ahead.
But I just feel like everybody goes through drama. And I feel like Black love is when I write. It really just shows the complexity and the purity of Black love, because it's not roses. I'm not a romance author to
Right.
the heart. I just write about real life complicated situations.
And why'd you pick that genre?
I
Or
think
did
that
it
genre,
pick you?
I think it picked me.
Okay.
I think I love stories that are complex. I love stories that make you think and feel. And I think that is drama, that is love, that is romance. So while I might delve in different subgenres, i.e., crime might be one, there is always going to be some complexity and some type of struggle and drama going on in my novels.
And so, Kara, this is for you. You're all over the place. You write about just about everything, right? So tell me how it is that you do that. It's just amazing to me. And we want to talk about the fact that you do, I'm going to skip down, ebooks and regular books, and why it is you feel that's important.
Well, first of all, let's address the ebooks and the paperbacks.
Okay.
I believe that, of course, you know, in our fast-paced world, everything is electronic now. So you want to have your product accessible and available to people to read on their phones, to read on the go, you know, and sometimes taking a book with you is cumbersome. But we do both formats because there are still people like us who love paperback books. They love the feel of them. They love the smell of them. They love, you know, putting that bookmark in there. So they love those. So we don't want to leave anybody out. And our next great venture would be to get into the audiobook market. So we believe that it's just really important. And because we want to share this story with everybody, we want to make it accessible on as many platforms and formats as we possibly can.
So let's talk about all those hats you wear and characters that you have out here messing with you all day in different genres.
I just write where the story goes. I'm that person that has always loved the underdog, the bad guy. I'm gonna be real honest with you.
Right.
And I just feel like, you know, in society, they get a bad rap just because a person is not working a 9 to 5 or necessarily doing something legal does not take away their humanity. And that's what I always try to show in my novels, even when I'm writing about the larger than life crime figures or whatever, because they desire the same thing that most humans do, and that's love and affection and family, a sense of belonging. Their occupation does not change the internal of who they are as far as their humanity. So that's why I write a lot of those characters. I venture off into wherever the story goes. You know, I've written just straight drama, kind of like Elizabeth LaShaun. I've done, I'll tell you one genre I found out I was not able to conquer, and that's erotica. I cannot write.
Well, you can
She did conquer. She did conquer.
You can leave that to
me. She did do a good job.
Yeah,
she did
I
an
have
excellent
one
job.
erotic book, and I was like, no, this ain't for me. So I leave that alone. But everything else, I will.
It's
tackle.
difficult. It's difficult because
you
know, it's difficult because it's difficult. But
I still want to write like I want to write a comedy novel. I still want to do that. I have a very dry sense of humor, but I still want to do that. and I want to write a supernatural novel. So those two are still on my list of things to do.
Well, you know that Lamont Gant and Marlon Mikulski have written Return. And that was their first jaunt at science fiction. And they have you just don't know where it's going to take you. All I'm saying is that, you know, if that's something you want to do, you really should do. Now they're just skyrocketing. And we featured them last year at the Fresh Book Festival. And now they have a deal at the National Black Book Festival in the UK. So we're, you know, you just never know how that's going to happen. So yeah, dip your feet in that sci-fi, because guess what? There are not a lot of us that look like us in the sci-fi.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And a lot of people really like it and like to read it. So
yeah,
if you can do it, if you can do it, you should do it. So I look here, and the question I have is, if this is your first collaboration, and no, it's not, right? So Elizabeth, tell us about your first collaborative novel and your first collaborative novel with KR.
So my first collaborative novel was with KR, was one of the participants. It was me, D.K. Gaston, and Keith Kareem Williams.
My friend.
That is your friend.
Yes,
We did an anthology called Crossroads, and it was us all writing our own story, but it was centered around a coffee shop. So very different stories, but the coffee shop was the main hub. And we would take different scenarios of very small elements of each of the stories and incorporate it in ours. So it was great. It was so easy to write. I loved it.
And you all are from all different places, right? Because he's from New York. Okay.
Yeah,
and
I
the
think
other
he came
authors
from Detroit. We actually, so we met, all of us met on my book club when I had the online book club called Readers Emotion. So that's how I've been knowing them again, 2008, 2009. How long I've been on Keith and DK as well as Fair.
What we didn't say is that most of your workshops are online, right? They are.
Correct. Yeah, correct.
So when you, to the audience, when you go sign up for a workshop, it'll probably be an online workshop. Do you have any face-to-face?
We do not have any face-to-face right
now.
Yeah, right now, because of COVID, with everything, we put that on the shelf, but we are planning in the future, maybe 2023, 2024, to come back to our live workshops. And those will be more like for your writers, your authors. I mean, if readers are interested, they're welcome, but it'll be panels and discussions and instructors to come in and show you, you know, hands-on how to do a lot of the things that we're talking about.
I think the workshops that we used to do on copywriting and, you know, intellectual properties, those are important.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
And it's hard to it's hard to get all that online. So we're probably going to reach back to those workshops so people understand that their words are worth money.
Yes,
absolutely.
You know? And they should do certain things with them. So
and this is a business. It's creative, but this is a business. This is a business.
This is a business, right? So KR, did you do any other collaborations besides the ones Elizabeth talked about?
I did. I have also done a collaboration with author T.P. Miller. We did a book called The Agency, and that one is straight drama. That was one of my first times doing just straight drama. I didn't have any crime lores, no violence, none of that in there. So it was just straight drama, relationships, couples, that kind of thing. So I did that with her. That is the only other collaboration I've done outside of EL. And you did ask how we came together on Three the Hard Way.
Yes.
Which is our other collaboration. That's the first one we did together. I call it my girlfriend's book, because it's about the three ladies, and their drama, and they're supposed to be best friends, but they have secrets and all this kind of good stuff. So there's a lot of juicy drama. There's no real hardcore crime in that one either. But we came together originally.
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's
well, it ain't hardcore.
On a scale from 1 to 100, it's like 8. Okay.
80 maybe. 80.
But originally there were supposed to be the three of us doing the book, but the other author did back out. So Elizabeth and I talked and we were like, well, we're just going to pick up this third part and finish this book. So we did. We had a blast with it and it was well received. So we were really pleased with that. But the Crossroads 1 and 2 that we did with Keith and DK,
Right.
those are the collaborations I've done today.
So what's the hard part about a collaboration?
Ooh, for me, finding somebody who can leave their ego at the front door.
Absolutely.
Because when you're writing together, you have to have confidence, yes, but egos are going to stop you and slow you down at every junction if you're not able to come back and accept and give constructive critique of what's being written, how the story is flowed. If you can't come together on the ideas, then that makes it a nightmare. And for me, that's been my hardest part. There are only a few people that I've been able to find that can do that. And those are the people that I have spent time writing with.
And you have to agree on the cover. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, all that. Right. Yeah. So I take my hat off to people. There are several people that I know who have books that have multiple authors. Right? And I think, wow, I'm just not built like that. I could never do it, but I do take my hat off to them who can. So, KR, Deadly Taboo.
Yes.
Do you know how many books in this series there's going to be? And will it be an ebook right away? That's the first question. I'm gonna let you answer that.
Yes, all of them will be an ebook and a print book immediately. They will come out simultaneously. We won't dangle it for you. We will do them both when they're introduced at the same time. And yes, I do know how many books are in the series. Wait, let me fix that. I know how many books today are in the series. Deadly Taboo has a tendency to change on us. And yeah, it drives me nuts. But right now we are at an even dozen. There will be 12
Okay,
books.
12 taboos.
Yes.
You know, I thought it was going to be like the 10 Commandments.
Oh, okay, yeah, no.
Right. So you guys jumped to 12. So okay, I'm really
Yes.
interested in how that's gonna look.
Well, I mean, originally it was only supposed to be one.
Okay.
So that was a big jump.
Well, I tell most people who really want to be authors that there's no such thing as one book. There's
Who are
just,
you
there's,
telling?
there's just no such thing as one book. Right.
What is the story of my life?
Right. There's no such thing as one book. I mean, yeah, there's just no such thing. If you're serious and if you have characters that have been around with you since your teens, right?
Right.
That you really couldn't write about because your parents told you to go get a good government job. Writing
right.
You're gonna be broke, living on the street.
Right.
And so, you know, all those people, all those characters are just kind of put aside until you're able to bring them to fruition. So you guys are going to read a portion of Taboo. Who's going to do that?
We both have a little excerpt.
Okay, excerpt.
I'll start.
Okay, Elizabeth, go ahead.
Okay, so the name of our publishing company is called Hard Candy Publishing. So the reason we have that name is KR is the hard because she again tells you about bad boys and brings the mayhem and the crime. And I'm the candy because I bring the sweet, the drama, the emotions. The excerpt I'm going to read is going to be so my comic relief. So this is a scene. I'll set the scene for you of a funeral is what I'm going to be reading. Okay. Cassie pinched Chloe, pulling her from her thoughts. Ouch. She turned to give her friend a piece of her mind. Cassie had tears rolling down her face and her shoulders were vibrating as she tried to keep the smile off her face. Chloe turned to find Shamar's first cousin Titus trying to get his large frame across the row in the choir stand. Everyone he crossed yelped and groaned in pain as he stepped on their feet and forced his large frame into their personal space. The program flew to Cassie's mouth when the man's butt wiped slowly across a lady's face. Her lipstick removed once he crossed her. The tears were rolling from her as well. Where is he going? She inwardly wondered. Oh no, please, Lord, no. She quickly opened her program, and sure enough, Titus was slated to sing a solo. Saints, we are here for a celebration. Cassie almost passed out hearing the words. She couldn't hold the laughing much longer. The man had to be 500 pounds. If he was 5'6", that was being generous. The high-pitched voice that sounded like a permanent falsetto was too much. She had only seen his profile, but once he removed the microphone from the stand and turned to walk down the stairs, Cassie hopped up. The man was so cross-eyed, she didn't know which direction he was looking in, let alone who. Where you going, Auntie? Come on, baby. Cassie grabbed Corey by the arm. If she didn't hurry up and get out of there, she would be kicked out. She made it to the rear of the church, almost out of the sanctuary, when Titus released a fart so loud and long that Cassie couldn't hold her laugh in anymore. She turned around and stared at him as if to say, "Are you serious?" Tears were rolling down her face, and even Corey chuckled a time or two. They weren't the only two bothered, because someone yelled, "Oh, hell no, you need your ass with Titus, farting by that man's ashes."
I remember sitting in the choir stand and people, yeah. Mhm. All right, KR, it's your turn.
Okay, so let me set the scene for you. The
Okay.
characters in this scene are Gershwin, who is a hired assassin that is looking for Chloe's best friend, Malik. And at this particular scene, Malik comes back to Chloe's house. Gershwin has been sitting outside waiting and watching her house, assured at some point the man would show up. And this is the night that he actually does. Gershwin knew he would show up sooner or later. Tonight it was unexpected, but definitely a welcome surprise. He truthfully had been watching the house to see if the good doctor would show up. His blood boiled seeing him drop her off yesterday, knowing they had a date. The persistence of his heart would have to wait. Right now, he needed to close the circle around Malik. A lot of things weren't adding up, and Gershwin wanted some right now answers. Pounding on the door once he finally heard footsteps approaching. Pretty sure Malik was armed, he removed the 40 cal from his pocket, holding it firmly in his trigger hand. The door opened just enough to see Chloe's entrancing brown eyes. Hi. Hi, Chloe. She never moved, saying nothing further as he continued to watch her. The continual battle not to pull her into his arms and kiss her fanned large with the logic telling him his target stood behind the wooden door. Sighing heavily, Gershwin addressed her anew. I know Malik is here, Chloe. Let me in. I don't know what. He rushed the door, pushing her out of the way, gun aimed at Malik. Gershwin found himself staring down the barrel of the 9mm in the man's trigger hand, a Mexican standoff in full display. Pumpkin, go get the kids, get dressed. Gershwin frowned hearing the nickname. He knew they were friends, but there was something more. Decidedly not the time to deal with it, he addressed Malik instead. Chloe remained glued to the spot beside them, watching both men intently. I want to talk. I'm pretty sure you haven't been looking for me all these months to talk. No, I was looking for you to put a bullet in your skull.
Yeah. So tell me, ladies, are these the same characters for 12 books?
Yes.
Okay. So we get to see the evolution and the death and the life of these characters.
Absolutely, and you get to see their friends come in, their family come in. It's a whole evolution from beginning to end there. And of course, you know, the taboos are tied into that as well.
So this question
kids
is for
born, kids grow. Yeah.
Oh, right. So that's why, and it's, I don't know, I think it's easier to write a series because you can grow on it, right? As opposed to thinking of new characters every time you have to write a book, right? Most people say, how do you do that? Well, you just to develop the one character more each time, or kill them off, and that character has a baby, and then you just take it from there, right? So I think it makes it a lot easier. But let me ask you about the cover and how hard it was to pick that cover. It's very nice. Let me start with you, Elizabeth.
So the cover wasn't actually that hard. Me and KR, we worked so good together. We did know the book has very darkness to it. We deal with some very heavy topics in this
Right.
book. So we kind of knew we wanted to be, again, fiery, dark. The hard part, honestly, is finding somebody to bring it to fruition.
Yeah, from your head to what it's
Mhm.
Correct.
Everybody
Correct.
wants to see the cover. Anybody have the book?
You got the book in front of you?
Yay, there it is. I said that, so it's deadly taboos, and tell us what those words are because we can't see them. The little words.
Lies, deceit, temptation, seduction, murder.
Okay. Deadly taboos. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
So, and the reason we picked those is because those are all elements you're going to have in book one. And we highlight the lies because, you know, that's most prominent and the biggest issue. But we come with our cover ideas, honestly, very quickly. I mean, it's just weird like that. We'll come up like probably 15 minutes, we'll sit there and talk to what do you want to do? What is the burning thing? The reason we picked the flames is because everything crumbles. It's a book of things crumbling, and
Going through the fire. Yeah.
Correct. Figuratively,
Right.
emotionally, physically, it's a lot of things burning and crumbling and things being revealed. And that fire is hot, and we have fire literally in the story. So it was very appropriate for the cover.
Who's your go-to illustrator?
Or do
you have one?
I'm gonna
or
be
many?
honest with you. I have a few. I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a few.
Not one particular one.
I used to have one particular one, but he doesn't do them anymore. And he was really good at seeing my vision, so he doesn't do them anymore. This one he designed for us before he stopped. So we're going to have to find somebody else, of course, to do the ones going forward. But I've had a couple done by Navi. Robbins, he's done a couple. And just some freelance work, honestly, that we've just gone out and freelance. Some of my covers I do myself, to be honest with you.
Okay, so how do you do that?
Trial and error, but I mean, I've been working on it for a few years.
Right.
I'm pretty good at it. I mean, I do, you know, mine. I like the ideas I bring to life, but yeah, some of them I'll do myself.
Okay. So tell us about Elizabeth. This question is for you. What are the biggest mistakes you think first-time authors and some seasoned authors make when it comes to marketing their book? And I'm gonna give you that same question, Kate.
I think the biggest mistake first-time authors make is believing that all their family, all their friends are going to buy this book, and I'm going to sell out 300 copies that everybody knows going to buy the book. That's the first mistake. And the second mistake is it's going to sell itself. I just have to write. Once I write it, it's so good that it's just going to sell. You don't have a plan. I think for seasoned authors, the biggest mistake they make is not adapting to change. What might, especially the longer you've been in this business, what worked for you on your first novel 5 years ago might not work. Again, we have COVID as well. So, you know, some of the events, you know, stopped. They were not, you can sell. So you have to adapt to the changes. And I think some authors have a problem with that.
KR?
Beginning authors, first-time authors, not really fully investing in your craft. A lot of people think you sit down and you write it, you put it on Amazon, you sell it. They don't understand the significance of having great editing, of having beta readers, of getting feedback, that kind of thing, so that you know what you're working with, because you only get one time to make that first impression. And if you fall on your face the first time, it's really hard to dig out of that trench. And a lot of them, like Elizabeth said, go into it with the misconception that I am going to write this and end up on the New York Times bestseller list, and don't have the first idea of the business behind the glitz. And that's a big thing that, you know, people really, and I just really stress, you've got to know the business. You need to build a team. You need to build a village around you. No man is an island.
Your tribe is so important.
Yes,
exactly.
Really, and when you get beta readers, don't get yes people. Don't get, you know, grandma and them that's going to tell you it's great and it's horrible. Get some people that are,
a lot of people don't know what a beta reader is, KR. So
beta reader is the person that is going to read that manuscript for you before you, most times before you even get it edited well. They will read it and tell you how that story sounds to them. Would they buy that book? What do they think flowed? What about the characters? What didn't they like? And these have to be people that are going to be brutally honest with you. And then your ego has to be able to take that brutal honesty, because you can't get mad at them.
Read that genre as well. They have to read the genre.
You can't get mad at them romance. They say, yeah, this is horrible. You can't be mad. That's what you're doing. That's what they're there for. They are there at that front line of defense before you put it out into the public, who really does not care. And they're going to tear you a few new ones because they're going to leave you a bunch of one-star reviews. So that's the biggest thing. Seasoned authors, I do agree with Elizabeth, LaShaun. You have to be able to bend and flex and change with the times. You have to be open, again, to critique and criticism and suggestion, just like the new authors. That does not change. My whole motto is every day you get up and take a breath is a new opportunity to learn something. And if you've ever gotten to that point where you can't learn anything, go ahead and pick out your tombstone, because you did. That's it. Every day you learn, so you can't be so rigid in your presentation that nobody can tell you anything and you can't get better. We can all improve on something. So I think that's a big thing for a lot of authors. They get caught up in the hype of everybody's told you how great you are. And you forget that to stay on top, you have to hone those skills. They have to stay sharp. You have to stay sharp. You have to, come up with something new, fresh, and exciting. That same old thing, it might have worked back in 1990, back in the early 2000s, but in 2022, it's not working. So that's my take on that. Yeah.
And let's talk about marketing. In this new day and age, you said ebook, of course. LaShaun, what other things can they do to market in this new age of being bookies? That's what authors.
I think a problem. First of all, you have to understand that you have to build your brand. That's one. Yes, you want to sell a book, but like you said, I write romance, I write drama. Who are you? Because nobody wants somebody just constantly selling. Let us know who you are. Let me get to know you. And how that's really picking up now is videos. People want to they're, like you said, fast-paced technology. They want to know you. Don't talk about your book all the time. Talk about other topics or something that would cope to your book. You write erotica. Okay, you might talk about toy, something that has to do with that genre, but it's not about the book all the time. Yes, you pushed your book, but you don't want to be considered spam. And what I mean by spam is that as soon as I see your name, I just scroll back. Like,
right.
All she's gonna do is talk about her book. She told me to buy something. Let me get to know you and what you are about. I think that's a big thing that people are not doing, because I think the desperation, because there are so many authors, is just let me talk about the book. Let me talk about the book. No, you have to let people know about you, and then they will eventually buy your novel. They buy you. They really buy you and what you're selling, not just always the book.
You say the same thing, Kara?
I do. People buy an experience. If you think about some of your top sellers, first of all, they didn't write the book. A lot of the celebrity books, they either had them ghostwritten or something like. But you're buying the experience. You're buying that experience of saying, I have this small piece of this Will Smith, Michelle Obama, Cicely Tyson. I have this. I'm buying that mystique, that persona. That goes back to what EL said, building your brand. Who are you? We need to know who you are.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is taking the time, patience. That's a big thing. And a lot of new authors don't have that. They come out the gate and they're disappointed when that first 6 months, if they haven't sold, 1,000 books, 10,000 books. But patience, you have to build that bridge of trust with your reader. You have to build that bridge that you're serious about your craft, that you are someone that's, to be taken seriously in the literary world. So building that brand, selling the experience. I agree with author Elizabeth LaShaun. She'll tell you, they just got me to the point where I'm making more videos. I'm not that person. That person that sits around and makes videos all the time, I'll make them, but you won't see my face. I'm that person that'll make the video. It'll be, visibly aesthetic, but you don't see me. I'm just now starting to get in front of the camera and be in my videos because I realize that is great marketing tool that I am missing out on. I also think things like building your reader list. I give away a free download to build my mail list so people will, get my things when I send them out, that kind of thing. It just helps people get to know you. Patreon, that's another thing. You building a community there where you can share intimate things and that kind of stuff. Building that brand. And it takes time, it takes patience, but it takes consistency. You have to show up.
You have to show up.
And can I add one thing too? I think people have to also be appreciative of sales that they do get and understand the times that we are in. People are struggling to put food on the table. People have problems. People have issues. If you can entertain, like she said, give me an experience, they can pause and take a minute. But if you're just trying to take more money from them, because honestly, a sale is you're paying for something. Give them an escape. Give them time to adjust and be understanding of that. I don't think people are, and that's a big hindrance.
I think that when I tell younger people that we've been at this since 08, right? That means you were probably, some of them weren't born.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? And like Mama Tony said, they don't want to put in the work. You got to put in the work. Right.
You do.
I think that for me personally, as an author, the first time somebody recognized me, I thought, oh man, this is what this feels like. Right.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was in Atlanta at the Underground, just walking through. Is the Underground even there anymore?
It's not. No.
It's not. No. And someone ran out the store. And I thought, oh man, this feels like that's pretty good, right?
That. Yeah.
And then I was doing an event last Saturday where I was emceeing, and I was on my way to the stage, and the woman said, "I gotta talk to you," and I said, "Oh man, right, like right now." Can we do this later? And she said, I gotta talk to you about that character you killed off. And I thought, I wasn't sure where that was gonna go, right? And so you have to be appreciative of people who actually read your books and get involved in the characters and really don't want people to die. Why'd you kill him? Because he was a piece of crap.
Listen, I am still under threat to this day that I can never ever kill off Desi Gianni in a deadly encounter. Never. I have already been told I can let him retire. I can let him fade into the mist, but I can never kill him off.
And so I just brought him back. I just
right?
I just brought him back because I thought this is ridiculous. You guys, he's a piece of crap and you still want him around. Okay, we're gonna bring him back. So, yeah, whatever the people want, that's what you want.
Right.
Exactly. And the hour is going so fast, so quickly. You have a book festival every year. It's called the Literary Evolution. KR, I'll let you speak to that first.
We actually have not had the live event since 2020 when COVID hit us. We did shut down. We are also looking into totally revamping that. So again, like I said, we'll probably come back in 2023, 24. We won't do so much of the author sale type thing. It'll be more intimate, more focused on writing and writers and authors and getting you into that. I know a lot of authors want to get into screenwriting and all that kind of stuff. So we want to have people available that can talk to that, speak to that. And this is their time where they can come in and have that space close enough to ask questions and talk to these people one-on-one and get what they need out of the event.
Is that your feeling too, Elizabeth? Are you looking at it differently?
Yes. I'm excited about that. Especially with COVID. I mean, we planned the event 2020 to 2021. We planned the event every year, but things kept happening, numbers kept changing. I'm in the healthcare field, so I'm very cautious of that. So I think it made us, me and KR, really think about what was our goal and our brand and what do we want to do and who do we want to serve. And for writers, a more intimate setting is needed because, as you said, there are certain things that get lost in the glitz, even of a book event, book sale, you can go, and if you're focused on Clemmy Lawson, Roby, or Quanah, whoever that is, and you see them sell those books, you think you're going to go and sell out. That's not always the case that you're going to sell out, one, but also two, what did they do to get here? Because like you said, this is property. What did they do to get to where they are? So sometimes you have to reel them in and speak to them in a quiet, smaller setting so they really can understand the business of it.
I tell the authors that come to the book festival, don't think about selling your books out. Think about making connections,
Mhm.
networking,
Right.
making sure that you rub elbows with everybody who's there, getting
Yes.
their cards, getting their information, making sure that when you leave, you have made a connection with at least 10 people that you can
Mhm.
call on when you need something,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
And if you sell a couple of books, that's good. But that
That's great.
network, that
Mhm.
network at the Fresh Book Festival is amazing. And
Mhm.
so you can't buy that kind of network. You can't
Yeah.
buy it, you know, when you guys put those things together. You can't buy
Right.
that kind of network. And so that's
Right.
important. So please, did I say everything? It's 8:51. Okay, so is there anything else you'd like to share that you think the audience should know about either one of you, about what you do? Is there anything that didn't? I tried to be as, you know, cover everything that I could in this hour.
I'm
I'm
Elizabeth?
gonna go ahead, Karen.
I'm just going to quickly say, listen, if you're planning to write a book or thinking about it or have an idea or anything like that, do it. Don't worry about, oh, I don't know how, I don't know what is structure, I don't know how to start. I'm gonna tell you how to start. Start writing. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. That's what your editor's for. They'll put it in order and get it together and have it great and all that good stuff. You just write the story. You start in, and if you need help, come
Pam.
see us. We'll help you.
Tam. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, Tam.
I want to say, as far as with our book Daily Taboo, I am a reader before I am anything. You know, I think
Absolutely.
most authors are readers first. And we know how it is to wait a year, 2 years for a book. You're like, okay, what's coming out? So with us, we're going to release every book 6 months. Book 1 came out in June. Book 2 will be available in
Are you on
December.
schedule? Okay.
Yes. If you
Yes.
want to read the book continuously. So we do have a Patreon page that runs it, and they will keep on a book 2 beginning in August. So you can keep reading because we've written up to book 8 already before we
Okay.
release book 1. So there are options there as well. I also want to tell, this is not book related, but please go out and vote. If you, what we
Please.
have experienced this last 8 years, 10 years, I can't, it's like a blur.
Yeah.
I never thought would happen in my lifetime, but yet here we are. Please go out and vote. I live in Texas. I don't think I have to say much after saying that.
Right.
So please go out and vote. It's so important. If it was not, they would not be fighting to take it away so hard.
Right.
Vote.
And if you're in the state of Florida, our early voting ballots have been sent out. Please make sure that
Awesome.
you take time to fill them out and send them back in.
And Georgia,
Yeah,
I
and
want to say
Georgia
the
too.
same thing for Georgia, but I
Yeah.
also want
Please don't
to,
forget Georgia.
Please don't forget
Yeah.
Georgia.
and I want to encourage my convicted felons. It does not automatically disbar you from voting.
No,
Please
exactly.
check in and get your voting rights restored.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Because it's very, we're knocking on the door
Okay.
in August. No, I'm just saying to
Oh,
vote.
yeah,
Yeah.
we are.
We're knocking on the
Absolutely.
door. It's time. And it's these little, they call them little primaries, but they're so important.
Yes.
This is the place,
Local
this is where they
elections
put people
matter.
in place.
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
These local elections, they matter.
They matter. So yeah, so
These
that
things
is
it's these things that affect the citizens the most. It's direct.
Absolutely.
right.
Absolutely.
We said, well, they're just primaries. We don't need to go. No, they're setting you up. This is where they set them up to make, the difference in what they want to do in the hire.
Because the states are the most going to the Supreme Court. The states,
Right. Exactly. So thank you guys for that. Yeah, that's a good way to end the segment. Unless you have a pearl of wisdom for me, KR.
I'm just going to tell you to do what you love and love what you do. However that looks like for you, do it. Life is short. Enjoy it while you're here.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
My pearl of wisdom is you are enough. You are enough. Do not look at my book, KR book, the New York Times bestseller. That book has went through editing, polishing, crying, tears. It does not look like that when we first write it. You can get there wherever you aspire to be.
And so does anybody have a question for KR or Elizabeth? I want to be able to be generous with our time. Noah? Mr. Dale? No? Okay. So thank you, ladies, for being here on Zoom and on a Fresh
Appreciate
Conversation. To our audience, authors are collaborators, not competitors. We're collaborators, not
Yes.
competitors. Working together gives us, the literary world, power. Let's not work against each other. Let's work together. Thank you, ladies, for being here on
Thank
Zoom and on a
you.
Fresh Conversation. Thank you,
Good night,
everybody, for being here
Good
tonight.
night. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Great.